Let me preface this by saying, I never imagined myself doing anything like this. Ever, but when you're watching your sister, the person who's been with you literally since before birth, get crushed by someone who's supposed to love her, you find yourself doing things you didn't think you were capable of. I have an identical twin, her name is Lila. I'm Lana.
Yeah,
I know, our parents thought it was cute to give us matching names. On the outside, we're indistinguishable, same eyes, same hair, same face, but inside? We're total opposites. That she's the soft-hearted, hopeful one, I'm the realist, the one who sees cracks before they become canyons, and maybe that's why I noticed the red flags before she did. Lila met Brian at a marketing conference. That he was handsome, well-dressed, the kind of guy who knew exactly how to charm a room, and, for a while, he charmed her. She gushed about him, said he listened, said he made her feel safe. She was glowing. I wanted to believe in that glow, but something about him always felt off. There was the time he accidentally called me instead of her and said, "Hey, babe, what time are we meeting tonight?" When I answered, there was just silence. Then he hung up, said it was a wrong number. She brushed it off. Then there was the text I saw on his phone when I was helping her pack, a message that read, "Last night was fun. Let's do it again." No contact name. Just that. He said it was a joke from a coworker, and again, she believed him. That's when I knew, if I didn't step in, he was going to destroy her. One night, I asked her, point blank, do you want to know if he's cheating? She looked at me, and I swear her whole face fell. I don't think I can handle it, she said, but after a pause, she whispered, if you really think he is, find out. I won't ask how. That was all the permission I needed. We made a plan. She told Brian she was going to visit our parents for the weekend, packed a suitcase, kissed him
goodbye.
but instead of leaving town, she came to stay with me, and I took her place. I dressed in her clothes, styled my hair like hers, used her perfume, wore her rings, even practiced her little nervous habits. That we've done twin switches before, is school pranks, birthday surprises, stuff like that, but this time, it wasn't for laughs. So this was war day 1. Friday, Brian came home around midnight, said work ran late. Didn't kiss me. Barely looked at me. He grabbed a beer and collapsed on the couch. I tried to make small talk. He gave one-word answers, then he went to bed, alone. Day 2. Saturday, I turned things up a notch, wore Lila's favorite red dress, the one Brian used to drool over it. I made his coffee the way she used to, asked if he wanted to go out, just the two of us. He blinked. Can't. I've got a meeting. A meeting. On a Saturday, I followed him. He drove across town to a little cafe tucked between a bookstore and a florist, sat down at a corner table with a woman in a red jacket. They kissed, they laughed. I took pictures. They looked comfortable, like this was not the first time. That evening, I waited for him at the door. When he walked in, I said, how was your meeting? He hesitated, then said, fine. Boring. I stepped closer. With the woman in red. His face went pale. Then, he smiled, you followed me? I stared at him. The real question is, do you know who I am? Silence. Then, Lila? I shook my head slowly. Try again. His jaw tightened. He looked me right in the eyes and said, Lana. Boom. He knew, that meant all those times he accidentally have flirted with me, all those moments where I wondered, did he really not know? He knew. He knew he was cheating. He knew who I was. He just didn't care. I said, I have proof. Photos. She knows. She's not coming back. He didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't deny anything. He just sat down and said, I knew she'd figure it out eventually. Like it was nothing. Like this was just the end of a boring movie he'd already seen. 2 weeks later, Lila filed for divorce. He didn't fight it, but he did try messaging me, said he always thought I was the feisty one. Told me he wondered what would have happened if we'd met first. I blocked him hard. Lila's doing better now that she's in therapy. She still cries sometimes, but she smiles again, too. She says she feels free, and me? I don't regret what I did. I don't regret the deception, or the risk, or the lie, because sometimes, the only way to fight fire, is with fire. I just wish she hadn't needed saving in the first place. You ever look back on a part of your life and think, how did I survive that? That's exactly how I feel when I think about my old apartment, and the year a stranger was secretly entering it every Sunday without me knowing. I lived in a Tiny third-floor studio in a rundown building on the edge of the city. It was the kind of place where the walls were thin, the heater rattled like it had asthma, and the hallway always smelled vaguely like burnt toast and regret. But rent was cheap, and I was barely scraping by after college, so I didn't complain. Why? Routine was simple. I worked late shifts at a call center, came home around midnight, and slept until noon on weekends. Sundays were my one real day off. I usually spent them sleeping in, binge-watching shows, or sometimes heading out for a long afternoon walk or grocery run. I was rarely home between 2 and 5 p.m. That's when it started at AITA first. It was little things. I'd come home and notice a weird floral scent in the air. Not like perfume, more like one of those cheap dollar store air fresheners. I figured maybe my neighbors were using incense or something, then I started noticing things moved. The remote wasn't where I left it. A mug I was sure I put in the sink was back in the cupboard. A window I know I closed would be slightly ajar. But it was so subtle, so easy to explain away. I told myself I was tired, overworked, forgetful. We all misplace things, right? But then came the bananas. Yes, bananas. I don't eat bananas. Hate them, actually. The texture weirds me out. But one Sunday, I came home from a walk, and there was a single banana on my kitchen counter. No bag, no receipt, just a banana. I stood there staring at it for a full minute, heart pounding. That's when I bought a camera. I didn't have the money for a full security system, so I bought a cheap motion-activated camera and hid it on the bookshelf facing the front door. I felt paranoid. Ridiculous, even. But I needed to know, and sure enough, the following Sunday, around 4:17 p.m., the camera captured it. The front door unlocked. A man walked in, middle-aged. Baseball cap. Gloves. A plastic grocery bag in his hand. He looked around like he was checking to see if anyone was there, then he sighed, like it was just another day, and walked into the kitchen. He stayed for 17 minutes, wiped down the counters, took out the trash, put something in the fridge, and left. I thought I was going to throw up. I called the police, of course. But because there was no sign of forced entry and nothing had been stolen, they treated it like some bizarre trespassing case. Turns out, the guy was the former building janitor. He'd been given a master key years ago, and nobody thought to take it back when he left. He lived in a unit across the alley and had apparently been entering multiple apartments on a rotation, cleaning, rearranging things, even leaving little gifts. I wasn't the only one. Just the only one who noticed. I moved out that same night. Left most of my stuff behind. I couldn't sleep there another second. Even now, in my new place with an actual security system and triple locks, I still wake up every Sunday around 4 p.m., heart racing, convinced I'll hear the door creak open sometimes. I still smell that damn floral scent, and I wonder, how long would it have gone on if I hadn't found the banana? Let me start by saying, I always thought I was in a healthy relationship. Trust, communication, laughter, the whole deal. Or at least, that's what I thought. I'm 25. My girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now, is 24. Let's call her Sarah. We met 2 years ago through mutual friends at a birthday party. She was loud, hilarious, unapologetically herself, and way out of my league. I mean that sincerely. Sarah is the kind of girl people turn heads for. I was shocked she even noticed me, but she did. We clicked immediately. First it was memes, then texting late into the night, then dating. The first year was incredible. She was supportive, fun, never the jealous type. We talked about moving in together. She met my parents. I thought, wow, this could really be something long-term, but somewhere around the start of year 2, things started to feel off. The IT was small at first. She started asking weirdly specific questions about people I followed on Instagram. Who's this girl that liked your photo? She comments on a lot of your stuff. You used to date her. Why did you follow someone new today? I brushed it off as curiosity. Maybe insecurity. But the questions kept coming. She knew every new follower I gained. Every person I'd met, even though I never told her. I asked her once how she knew, and she just said, I notice things. Okay. Weird, but I didn't push it, then came the account. There was this girl, Nina_Rose23, who started following me out of nowhere. Her profile picture was generic, blonde hair, big sunglasses, holding a dog. Not someone I recognized. But she started watching all my stories. Liking old posts. Reacting to things immediately, sometimes within seconds of me posting them. I asked Sarah one day, jokingly, "Hey, do you know this Nina person? She's kind of all over my profile lately." She laughed and said, "You wish." But she didn't sound normal. It was like she was waiting for me to ask. Then Nina started DMing me little things, cute dog. Nice view. Once she even said, "Bet your girlfriend doesn't appreciate you the way I would." That one made my stomach turn. I showed it to Sarah. She squinted at the screen and said, "That's creepy. You should block her." I did. But something felt off. Too convenient. Too scripted. That night, Sarah was acting distant. Fidgety. So I did something I'm not proud of. While she was in the shower, I looked at her phone. I know I shouldn't have. But I had to know. There it was. A second Instagram account. Logged in and opened Nina_Rose23. My heart dropped. She'd created the account. Followed me. Watched my stories. DM'd me. She was pretending to be a stranger. To test me. When she came out of the shower, I was just standing there holding her phone. She froze. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just said, "Why?" Her eyes welled up with tears immediately. "I just wanted to know if you were loyal. If I could trust you." I asked, "So you decided to catfish me? To manipulate me into thinking a random woman was flirting with me? To trap me?" She tried to say it wasn't like that. That she was just insecure and wanted to see if I'd flirt back, but I didn't. I never did. I had nothing to hide. She said she was sorry. That she hated herself for it. That she was scared I'd leave her for someone else and just needed proof that I wouldn't. I left that night. She called me every day for 2 weeks after that. Left voice notes crying. Sent long messages about how she was going to therapy. How she realized she had trust issues from her last relationship. How she knew she broke something we might never fix, and maybe that's true. Maybe she really was scared and broken and just didn't know how to handle being in something real. But I also know this: if you don't trust the person you're with, nothing else matters. No amount of a love can survive under surveillance. She didn't want a boyfriend. She wanted a lab rat in a maze, waiting to see which way I'd turn, and I'm not going to live like that. So
Yeah.
that's how I found out my girlfriend was stalking me from a burner account, and that's also how I learned that trust means nothing if someone's secretly tracking your every move. I wish her the best. I really do, but I'll never look at a story viewer list the same way again. Okay. Buckle up. Because this story is weird, messy, and something I still can't fully believe I was part of. I'm a freelance actress. Nothing fancy. I've done small theater gigs, voiceover work, corporate events, and, here's the weird part, social gigs. You'd be surprised how many people will pay for someone to show up and play a role at a party. Want someone to pretend to be your date to make your ex jealous? Done. Need someone to pose as a long-lost cousin at a reunion. For a prank? Weird, but okay, people pay, I show up, play the part, and leave. That it's usually harmless. Awkward, sure. But nothing I can't handle. So when I got an email from a guy named Mark asking if I'd be willing to act like an ex-girlfriend at a wedding for a harmless prank, I didn't immediately say no. That he said it would be light-hearted, that the bride and groom were known for their sense of humor, and that the whole wedding party was in on it. I asked for details. That he said I just need to show up during the reception, walk in dramatically, confront the groom, say something like, "I can't believe you're doing this," and then be dragged away by a planted friend. The whole thing would take maybe 5 minutes. It would be staged like a skit. Just for laughs. A fake scene for a fun memory, and the pay? $1,000. Upfront. At that point, I should have been suspicious. But hey, I've done stranger gigs for less money. So I agreed. He sent me a photo of the groom, a basic script, and the address of the venue. The wedding was happening at a beautiful vineyard about 2 hours from where I lived the day of. I dressed the part, a little dramatic, black cocktail dress, heels, subtle smoky eye makeup. Not a crazy ex, but definitely someone with history. I arrived right after the ceremony. During cocktail hour, Mark met me in the parking lot, handed me the cash, literally in an envelope, and told me everything was ready. The cue was a specific song that would play during the reception. That was my signal to walk in and deliver the line. It felt like a live improv moment. I waited in the wings, heart racing. Not because I was nervous about the performance, but because weddings are real. They're emotional. I suddenly felt like maybe this wasn't so funny after all, but then the song played. My cue. I stepped in through the side door of the reception hall. It was a gorgeous setup, strings of lights, white drapes, people laughing and clinking glasses. I spotted the groom instantly. He looked uncomfortable. I took a deep breath and did what I was paid to do. I stormed in, pointed dramatically at him, and said, loudly, for everyone to hear, I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we had? The room went dead silent, all eyes were on me, and the groom? His face turned ghost white. I expected laughter. Or applause. Maybe even some people pulling out phones to record the prank. Instead, the bride started crying, not a little. Like full-on sobbing. Then she ran out of the room. The groom shouted, "What the hell?" and followed her out. Suddenly, a woman I didn't recognize ran up to me and hissed, "Who are you?" I blinked. I was hired. Mark said this was a joke. That it was part of the. She cut me off. Mark? Who the hell is Mark? That's when it hit me. I looked around and realized, no one knew who I was. There was no Mark. Or if there was, he wasn't part of this wedding. I had just crashed a real wedding, pretending to be a fake ex, and ruined everything. I panicked. Apologized to no one in particular. And got in my car, peeled out of the parking lot, and drove home shaking. Later that night, I got a text from the number that had contacted me. It said, that was even better than I expected. Blocked.to. This day, I don't know who Mark really was. Maybe he was a bitter ex of the bride or groom, looking for petty revenge. Maybe it was a jealous friend or even a psycho sibling. All I know is, someone used me to sabotage a wedding, and I walked right into it. I still think about that bride crying, the look on her face when she saw me, like her world collapsed in real time. I feel sick when I think about it. This was supposed to be a performance. A prank. A paycheck. Instead, it became the worst thing I've ever done to another person. Asterisk, even if I didn't mean to. Asterisk, I've never taken another acting gig like that since. No more wedding roles. No more surprises, and if anyone ever asks me to play in Hex again, the answer is no. Absolutely no. A few years ago, I stayed at a friend's house while I was in between apartments. Let's call her Marissa. We'd been friends since college, never super close, but close enough that she offered me her guest room when I needed a place to crash. Her place was in the suburbs. Big house, really quiet neighborhood, the kind where you hear birds chirping and lawnmowers buzzing on a Saturday morning. It was peaceful, a welcome break from the chaos of city life. There was just one rule, the door at the end of the hallway stays locked, Marissa said the night I moved in. It's just storage. Old stuff. Nothing interesting. Please don't try to open it. I shrugged it off. Everyone's got a junk room, right? I didn't press. Weeks passed. I'd leave for work, come back, make dinner, hang out with Marissa if she was home, and sleep. Life was normal. Comfortably routine, except, the door started bothering me, not just because it was locked, but because I started hearing sounds from inside. Late at night, usually after 1 a.m., there'd be thumps. Sometimes scraping. Once, I swear I heard someone whispering. Faint, like it was coming through thick walls. I asked Marissa about it once. Are you sure that room's just storage? I've been hearing things. She laughed. It's an old house. Creaks a lot. You're probably just hearing the pipes or something. But it didn't sound like pipes to IT, sounded like someone trying not to be heard. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I waited until Marissa was asleep, then tiptoed down the hallway. The door was, as always, locked, but I noticed something new. The doorknob had scratch marks on it. Like someone had tried to claw their way out. The next day, I brought it up again. Seriously, what's in that room? Her expression changed. Not annoyed. Not angry, just cold. It's personal. Don't ask again. I dropped it until a few nights later, when I woke up to what sounded like a cry and a muffled, broken sob from behind the locked door. I couldn't sleep. I sat up in bed, heart racing, debating what to do. Eventually, I decided to confront her. Marissa, I heard someone crying in there. Please, just tell me what's going on. She didn't even look at me. Just whispered, it's none of your business. That was it. I started packing that night. The next morning, as I was dragging my suitcase down the hall, I noticed something strange. The door was slightly ajar, not open, just barely unlatched. I know I should have left it alone. I should have walked out, blocked her number, and never looked back, but I didn't. I pushed it open. Inside was not a storage room. It was a small, windowless bedroom. The walls were bare except for deep scratch marks. The carpet was stained. In the corner was a dirty mattress and a tray with what looked like old, rotting food, and sitting on the bed was a girl, thin, pale, eyes wide like a frightened animal. She looked at me and whispered, "Are you here to help me?" I froze, then I turned and ran. Marissa was standing at the end of the hall, watching me. I shoved past her and didn't look back. I called the police from a gas station 10 miles away. Told them everything. They found the girl. She'd been missing 4 months. Her name was Lila. She'd been reported as a runaway, but it turned out she'd been taken to by Marissa my a friend. She was arrested. The story made the news. People couldn't believe it. Marissa was quiet, polite, well-liked, but she had kept a human being locked in her home, and I'd almost lived there without ever knowing. I still have nightmares about it. About that locked door. About what would've happened if I never opened it. Sometimes I wonder how many other doors like that are out there, unlocked, quiet, hiding something no one wants to believe. I'll never ignore strange noises again, and I'll never stay at a friend's house without asking what's behind every single door. When I first started dating Adam, I thought I hit the jackpot. Kind, charming, funny, he had that perfect balance of playful and serious. We connected instantly. Within a few weeks, I was at his apartment all the time. That's when I met his dog, Harley. A huge German Shepherd with intelligent eyes and a low, rumbling growl that greeted me every time I stepped inside. The AT first, I chalked it up to nerves. Some dogs are protective, right? I gave Harley space, brought treats, tried to befriend him. But no matter what I did, he hated me. He'd snarl when I sat next to Adam, bark if I touched him. Once, when I leaned in to kiss Adam
Goodbye.
Harley lunged between us and knocked me over. He just needs time, Adam insisted. He's picky about people, but he'll come around. I tried to believe that, but weeks turned into months, and Harley's aggression only got worse. It wasn't just jealousy, it felt targeted. Like he was warning me. Sometimes I'd catch Harley staring at me with this almost human expression. Not confusion. Not fear or disgust. One night, I stayed over while Adam was working late. He left me a key, told me to make myself at home. I tried to relax on the couch, but Harley wouldn't stop growling from the hallway, so I shut the door to the bedroom. Gave us both some space. Around 2 a.m., I heard the sound of scratching. Not at the bedroom door. From inside the closet I turned on the light. Harley stood rigid by the foot of the bed, ears flat, eyes fixed on the door. Growling to AT the closet, I slowly walked over and opened it. Empty. I laughed nervously. Great. I'm officially paranoid. Then I noticed the floorboard. It looked newer than the others, slightly lighter, less worn. Like it had been replaced. Harley barked suddenly, sharp and furious. I bent down and pressed on the board. It moved. I pried it up, revealing a hidden compartment underneath. Inside were a few things. A flash drive. A notebook. Some photos. I pulled them out and flipped through the notebook, and my blood ran cold. It was full of notes about women. Names. Dates. Descriptions. Some were crossed out. Others were circled. There were pages upon pages of disturbing entries, like didn't suspect anything. Clean exit. Kept earrings. Too nosy. Disposed of. One entry had today's date. With my name next to it, I opened the flash drive. On Adam's laptop. There were dozens of video files. I clicked one. It was footage. Grainy, like from a hidden camera. Of a woman crying. Begging. Tied to a chair, I couldn't breathe. I felt Harley press against my leg, low growl still rumbling. Almost like he was urging me to move. I grabbed my phone and the drive, and ran. Adam texted minutes later, "Where are you?" I didn't answer. I drove straight to the police. They raided Adam's place that night. Found more evidence. More footage. And remains. He'd been targeting women for years. Carefully. Methodically, Harley had tried to warn every single one. He wasn't being aggressive. He was desperate, trying to scare us off, trying to protect us. Adam was arrested. His face made national news, and Harley, he was placed with a new family. I visit him sometimes, and now, he runs up to me, tail wagging, licking my face like an old friend, because now, he knows I'm safe. He saved me, and I'll never ignore a dog's instincts again.